Firstly, let's look at attractiveness. Now, when you hear attractiveness, you probably think, physical appearance, like is he good looking? Does he have a classically like chiseled model-esque face? And that does help a little bit, but it's not so much about how you look as it is whether you look the part. And what I mean by that is it's about how you carry yourself, how you dress, your attitude, the demeanor you put across, the expressions on your face, more so than the face itself, okay? It's more an idea of you've taken care of yourself, you've managed to, whatever your look is, be the best of that look. If you're a t-shirt and jeans guy, you be the best t-shirt and jeans guy. You have a good haircut, take care of make sure you shower, brush your teeth, that kind of stuff. But also carry yourself well, have a nice posture, be relaxed, those sorts of things. Women respond much more to the apparent presentation, status, social bearing of a man than they do to who he is per se. And that is in your clothes, in your look, etc. But it's not that there's one right or wrong way, and it's not something that is reserved to the few model-esque men in the world. It's something that everybody can have, and everybody can make the most of what they have. Okay, so it's not that you necessarily have to be a beautiful man, but you need to do the most with what you have. You need to have a look, whatever that look is. However you look, it should look intentional, not accidental. There's this whole, as one example, when someone's going bald and they have that shoehorn thing around their head, a lot of guys, I'll suggest to them to actually just shave their head. The reason being that balding is not a look, but shaved is, right? So you're taking control, you're doing something so that you are a style as opposed to something that happened by accident and looks sort of unfortunate, okay? So make the most of the looks you have. If you're in doubt as to how to do this, look around whenever you see attractive women, look at the man they're with, and get sort of a catalog in your head of what attractive men look like. And you'll see there are many, many types. Pick a type that you like, that suits you, and go be that type. And if you can, be that type on steroids. Go a little further with it and make it your own. But at the very least, be that type. Look the part. Okay? So that's attractiveness. Next one, assertiveness. If you are too meek to talk to a girl, you will not get girls. It is what it is. If you're too meek in any situation, you're not going to be a dominant social figure. And that's what you want to be as a strong, powerful man. You need to be assertive. You need to step out of your comfort zone and be noticed. It's better a lot of times to be hated than to be ignored. All right? Be assertive. Most guys, biggest mistake in game, they don't open. They don't assert themselves on the situation. Next biggest mistake, they're in a conversation and it starts to not go their way, or they start to lose the girl's attention. They refuse to change the topic, they refuse to interrupt, they refuse to jump in. It's okay, again, to be a little rude. Be there, be present. A very good friend of mine who has amazing game, he has this principle. He says, the more you do to the environment, the less the environment does to you. That's very, very true. Assert your will on the situation. Also, when you're with a girl, don't allow yourself to get into a conversation that's too friendly and casual and platonic if that's not what you're into. If you want the girl to be a lover, you need to treat her as such. You need to broach that man-to-woman gap and allow her to see you as a sexual being. That means letting her know you're interested. That means when she messes up, saying, hey, I have a boundary, you don't cross that boundary, okay? That's being assertive, okay? Don't be meek and timid. They say, mistakes made through audacity can usually be corrected through more audacious action, but mistakes of timidity are never forgiven. That's very, very true in the world of romance. Next, so we've covered attractiveness, assertiveness. Next, we're going to cover assuredness, okay? Assuredness. Here's the thing. If you think that what you're doing is weird, awkward, abnormal, to be frowned upon, that's going to come through in your actions. If you go over and talk to a woman, you apologize for yourself. You're like, I'm sorry to bother you. I don't mean to intrude. That means you've become a bother. The second you're sorry for being a bother, you've become a bother. Had you never mentioned it, you probably would have been a pleasant, welcome, suave, debonair man contributing to the conversation. As soon as you apologize, you're a bother, okay? As soon as you go to touch a girl and you brush her hair off her face and subtly pull her hair and pull her into you, now you're the man from a romance novel. When you hesitantly put your hand over and tap her on the arm and wonder if it's okay and sort of grimace and look at her is that okay? Is that, princess, may I touch you? As soon as you're unassured, it's clunky. It's no good. It's not what you want to have happen. It's not smooth. It's not fun for anyone. It just makes everyone nervous and awkward, and that's not what you're going for, okay? So have that assurance. Oftentimes, it's better to do the wrong thing with assurance than the right thing hesitantly. Nobody follows the unassured person, okay? Be a strong leader, take strong actions, be assured that what you're doing is right, and if it's wrong, correct it next time. But whatever action you're taking it with assurance is going to work better than taking it without. So even if you don't know what you're doing, act as if you do. All right, so that's attractiveness, assertiveness, assuredness. Now we'll talk about attentiveness. When it comes to women, usually there's two things that are necessary in order for them to sleep with you. One is value, and this attractiveness, assertiveness, and assuredness are a lot of things that are conveying value. They're making you a strong masculine man, you're conveying you have options, you're conveying you understand the world, you're conveying that you've been successful in life. Attentiveness is more geared towards comfort. And the fact of the matter is, every girl and every man, every person in the world, what they want romantically is this. They want the person that they don't deserve, who for some odd reason has chosen them. That's it. That's the ultimate formula. Okay? In order to have that, you need those attractive qualities. You also need to make that person comfortable. You need to make them feel as though what you have is special. And attentiveness does that. Paying attention to the girl, remembering her name, remembering things about her. When she seems to, have drifted off in a conversation, calling her back. When she seems to be in a bad mood, noticing it. Those sorts of things make a difference. What it really comes down to is being present in the interaction and actually treating it as an experience that you and she are having together as opposed to an agenda or an outcome. So many guys look at a woman and they see her sort of like a target, a mark, something like the next future potential notch on the bedpost, like a trophy to be attained. If you're thinking like that, you're automatically putting the girl on a pedestal, which is going to make things hard for yourself. But also what you're doing is you're thinking ahead. And when you're thinking ahead, most of your brain is not available in the moment, in the interaction with the girl. And that's going to make you less charismatic and less compelling, all right? You want to be attentive. You want to be aware of what's going on with her to make her feel more comfortable and also to make you more charismatic. So be attentive. Be present to the moment. And don't worry so much about what's going on in the future. A great metaphor that I like that another friend of mine who's very good with girls uses, he says it's like a first-person shooter game. You have the battle that's going on right here, and then you have the sort of like map in the corner. And most of your time should be spent on the battle that's right here, right? You want to be present, you want to be in the moment, you want to be focused on the girl in front of you. Occasionally, you need to check up and make sure that like the interaction is going in a reasonable direction. It's going towards what you want. But that should be a small fraction of your attention. Most of it is focused on being amazing moment to moment, okay? So be attentive, be present to the moment, be engaged with the girl, not the idea of a trophy or the idea of a future conquest, okay? So now we have attractiveness, assertiveness, assuredness, attentiveness. And the last one, not to be forgotten, is aliveness. This was one of the biggest sticking points I've had in my game for a really long time because I'm a very serious person, very serious, logical person. I'm very goal-driven. That actually hurt me with attentiveness as well. But aliveness basically means being willing to do something that's a little crazy sometimes. Being willing to put yourself out there. Being willing to make an ass of yourself. Being willing to fucking loosen up and not be so damn uptight all the time. All right? And if you don't have this, you can still be a cool guy. I mean, think like James Bond doesn't like strike you as necessarily like the most like full of aliveness character. He's not exactly like a clown. But most guys who are truly attractive, if they have these other attractive qualities and then on top of it, they can be loose and relaxed and like breathe and be themselves and make an ass of themselves and do something a little crazy every now and again, the girl's like, holy shit. Not just I like this guy, not this is an attractive man, but holy shit, I fucking love this guy. He's an experience, he's amazing. And that's what the girl wants. She wants an experience. She wants a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. She wants to be taken on a journey. And if you have all these other qualities, she'll look at you and she'll be like, he has a nice resume, he's good, he's appropriate. I can introduce him to my parents, it's not so bad. And logically she'll make that decision, but to really get her emotionally invested, be willing to do the crazy. And remember, you can always say the words, I'm sorry. Right? If you go too far, if you're a little too out there, you can say, I'm sorry. It's better to go out there and go too far with it than not find out where that line is. Try and think of game not as a situation of I'm trying not to make mistakes, but as a situation where I'm trying to do so many amazing, incredible, fun things that the little mistakes I make don't matter. If you're too worried about every little mistake and too worried about being perfect, you will let perfection be the enemy of excellence and greatness. Nobody's perfect. Let me just save you the suspense on that one. I promise you you're not perfect, but that doesn't mean you can't be excellent and it doesn't mean you can't have amazing women in your life. So stop trying to be perfect. Be willing to be a little out there. Be willing to make some mistakes. Be willing to make an ass of yourself every now and again, okay? So those are the personality qualities that will make you an attractive man. Now, there's a couple other factors that are absolutely huge. First one is status. Let's be clear. Women, especially very, very hot women, respond to status and social proof. They respond to the way that you are perceived by the tribe, so to speak. And the reason I use the word tribe is this goes way back to evolutionary psychology. It goes back to when we were in tribes between 20 and 150 people, and you were going to stay with those same people your whole life. Now, a very attractive woman in that tribe is of extremely high status. Her life is pretty well assured because there are so many men that want her that they will take care of her, they'll bring her gifts, they'll make her life very easy. But if she's with or ends up sleeping with a bunch of men who are not the high status people in the tribe, the high status men in the tribe will start to find less value in her, and so her life will become significantly harder, significantly worse. Therefore, women of high status are very, very conscientious, sort of biologically and socially and psychologically because of evolution. They're very, very conscious of the status of the man they're with. That's why it's easy for a woman to brag, say, like, I was with a doctor, or better yet, I was with the CEO of a company, or I was with the president, or I was with the head mobster of the mob, whatever, some powerful man of status, or a star athlete's another one, star musician, whatever. It's much easier for her to say that. It actually increases her status and makes her future prospects better and better for having been with you instead of less and less, right? One big characteristic that women need to sleep with you is it should feel like a win for them rather than a loss. And if you are a high status man, if you have other people responding well to you and saying you're amazing and saying you're cool and being your friends and reacting to you and responding to you, then being with you becomes a victory socially. Whereas if you're sort of the outsider in the group and she sleeps with you and it kind of gets back to her friends, that became a loss. Even if the experience itself was good, the ramifications can make it a loss. So you have to be very conscientious of that. And one of the big characteristics, like I said, for this is social proof. It's having other men and other women of status saying good things about you. It's having position, having authority, being at the center of attention, and having other people react to you. So anytime you have opportunities to do that, that's always going to make you more attractive to women. And lastly is the ability to escalate smoothly. Now, what does this convey? It goes back to evolution again. Basically, women want, again, that guy that has lots of options but chooses them. And in having lots of options, a man who does have lots of options probably is pretty good at sex, right? If a guy's had a lot of sex, he's had a lot of practice, he's probably better at it. He probably will escalate the situation more smoothly, both in terms of his physical touch will be smooth and will be well calibrated and will be at the right times because, again, he's had lots of practice and he knows what's worked and knows what hasn't, and he's very comfortable doing it. But also, the pace and the way that he will lead the interaction will be very, very smooth. So he won't say clunky things like, do you maybe want to go back to my place and have sex? And instead he'll be like, Madam, I'm having a wonderful time this evening. Perhaps we should go somewhere more quiet where we might enjoy each other's company even more. Now, I'm kind of overplaying like the debonair suaveness of that, but the idea is he said it in a way which it allows her to go with him in a way where it's not such a foregone conclusion, it's not so obvious, it's not tacky, it doesn't make her feel slutty, right? She wants to, again, feel like sex with you is a victory, not a loss. And if she can feel like she wasn't a foregone conclusion, it just happened, it was a beautiful thing, that's gonna make her feel much better about the experience than if she has to feel like I was slutty, I had sex with some random guy, etc., 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 okay? So you want to make sure that there's a little bit of a smoothness to your escalation. Avoid certain red flag words like my place, don't overtly talk about sex, you can hint at it, those sorts of things. And also a lot of times you can be a little sophisticated, almost like a romance novel, in the sense that you can talk about, instead of saying, I would like to do this to you, be like, I would totally do this to you, except we can't because I've just met you. Or, oh, we shouldn't even be thinking about how hot it could be if we did X, Y, Z. So you're bringing up the same topic, but in the negative, so there's that sort of like subtlety to it, and it doesn't make her feel slutty, okay? So those are the characteristics that you want to have. If you get those 7 right, you will have girls climbing all over themselves for you. Again, just to reiterate, they are attractiveness, assertiveness, assuredness, attentiveness, aliveness, value/social proof, and then lastly, the ability to escalate both physically and situationally in a smooth manner. If you can get that down, you're gold.